All right. Well, we are live. Welcome to Ask the Expert. Let me move my glasses off. I think I look friendlier this way. Thank you for joining us today for Ask the Expert. We do this every week. We started doing it during the pandemic to bring good information to our clients and also expose them to great local businesses. And my business model is work by referral. I believe in small business and I believe in working by referral. And so I love when people refer me, and I love referring other quality businesses and learning about other quality businesses. So all of this kind of married up when we thought about an event we used to do back when people could actually get together, where we would have a bunch of experts in a room with their name tag on, and we'd invite our clients and friends, and they could rove around and ask questions. And it was just a fantastic forum for getting information and being exposed to experts in their particular, field of expertise. So we're glad you joined us today. And we have a really special expert today, my friend and client, Diana Tamez-Walters. Hey, Diana.
Hi, Anne. Thank you for having me.
We're so happy that you're here. Diana is the owner of We Organize It. It is a local organizing company. And our topic this week is Get It Together, Professional Strategies to Organize Closets, Cabinets, and Life. So I learned through talking with Diana, there are strategies and there are methodologies, and sometimes we get real specific, and sometimes it's more, what do we say, Diana, like woo-woo, a little touchy-feely, but how being organized makes you feel and makes you more effective. So we're going to talk about all of that. And I wanted to let you know Diana is a very successful business owner, and her clients have great things to say about her. She's originally from Texas. She's a transplant who's been here about 15 years and often gets asked, did you go to school to become an organizer? And she likes to tell people it started at a really young age when she would think about, like, what could she get rid of? What could she organize? And she realized it was a genetic trait she inherited from her mom, right?
Right.
So something interesting that she said to me, because when I see how she's organized, I always think that it's like a perfect skill for her. But she says that perfectionism does not exist. It just comes to her naturally, this ability. And she's been helping others who don't have that ability. We'll put it nicely. I might be one of those challenged people, Diana. In a former life, Diana did everything from tourism and event planning to nonprofit work and retail. So she's got a fantastic background for this. And you're going to hear some of her theories and her suggestions and see some images of folks she's helped. So she was telling me her perfect client is that person that you know who says, I couldn't sleep last night. I was just up thinking about everything that I need to organize and do, and how I can't find this or that, and I need to be more systematized with the kids and how I organize in the morning or whatever it is. So if that's you, or you know somebody like that, you can always send them to Diana. I can refer her highly. So before we start, I always like to jump in with a very quick market update. I'm going to make it really fast today. For many months since the pandemic started, we've been suffering from low inventory, but it is reaching. I talked to professionals who've been doing this 30, 35 years in the DC metro region, who are all saying they have not seen a market like this. So we're seeing multiple offers on most properties. We're seeing a very low number of time that the average property spends on the market. One exception to this is the condo market, where people are sometimes having to share space. There are certain areas where people have gotten nervous, and I think that will pass. But right now, that's the market where actually, if you're a buyer, you might be able to find some benefit. So otherwise, it's tough going, but the interest rates are fantastic. And if you want to talk more about an area you're looking at, be it close in condo and what's going on in a particular building, or further out 5 acres, we can look into it and do some research for you and help you get you some answers. So I don't want to delay anymore. I want to launch right into talking with Diana. So Diana, thank you again for joining us. We're all eager to hear some of your tips. And even just this morning at a home inspection, somebody said to me they thought it sounded like a great topic, and we're eager to hear what you had to say. So thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for having me in. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. Deanna, when I was thinking about this, I remembered this time when I was a kid and I was given by my parents a summer project to organize the garage.
Mhm.
And I remember pulling up the door and just like, it might have been one of the first times I felt like full on anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, where do you start? It was just a wall of stuff and it wasn't even mostly my stuff. So I think a lot of times that sort of, how do I start, taking that bite of the elephant, I think that's the hardest part sometimes for people. And they open that closet door and it looks like Monica's closet from Friends, or that pantry, and they just feel totally overwhelmed. And they're that person you've described who's just tosses and turns at night, having trouble getting to bed thinking about it. So do you have some ideas for how to start? Maybe how much time to set aside, that kind of thing?
Well, first of all, it's scheduling the time. So, like any other appointment, it's important to schedule the time to get organized. For some people, that may mean half an hour. After half an hour, they might just be overwhelmed. It might be too much. For other people, it could be an hour. For others, it could be a little bit longer. But again, schedule the time. The second thing is to go ahead and eliminate distractions. And what I mean by that is if there are kiddos around the house, maybe send them off with dad to the playground. Have them spend time outside of the house so you're really, really focused on what you need to do. Other things that you want to do as far as eliminating or avoiding distractions is don't try to multitask. Don't try to do the laundry or empty the dishwasher at the same time that you're trying to get organized. So just eliminate as many distractions as you can so you can just really focus on doing that. And think about what's bringing you the most angst. If that drawer in the kitchen cabinet is just driving you crazy. And that's what I ask my clients. I mean, what's driving you crazy? What's bringing you the most angst? And that's exactly where we start. So those are just a few tips on how to get started.
Because you can make the most headway in terms of them feeling better, right? And then maybe that gives them that momentum to keep it going.
Yes, and it happens. I mean, they might set aside half an hour for organizing, but once they get going, they're doing it for longer. I've had some clients, normally my sessions are about 3 hours that we work together. I've had some clients that we do marathon sessions. Of course, we're on a really tight deadline. So some of my clients, particular one comes to mind, we've done 8-hour all day marathon sessions, but she can handle that. Yeah, she can handle that, but not everybody can. So just, you need to really look at where you're at, where your energy level is as well while you're doing this.
This is a good tip about setting the time aside, because when I watch people moving, sometimes I get nervous looking at sellers and thinking, I don't think they are really comprehending how much they have to move. And Jennifer, who's behind the scenes, our little Wizard of Oz, can vouch for me that we've had sellers who weren't out when they were supposed to be. And it's like shoving everything in every vehicle around, and I always tell them, how long do you think it'll take you to pack up the kitchen? And they'll say, oh, 4 hours. And I always say double it. And usually that's not even enough. But a good rule of thumb is double what you think you need. If you're not naturally organizationally inclined, double it.
Yep. Definitely. And what I tell clients too, I mean, one of the big questions that I get asked, like, Deanna, how long is it going to take to organize my fill in the blank, my garage? And there's two main factors. One, how quickly can you make a decision? If every time you look at something, it takes you 5 to 10 minutes to decide if you need it or you don't, then, you need to factor that in. The second thing is to see how many things you have. We can open up a box and there could be just be one item in that box. Okay, well, that'll be an easier decision than opening up a box and there are 50 things in there that you need to look at. So those are just kind of things to consider when you start organizing.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. And going back to your what's driving you crazy, because I imagine if somebody got through one box in a session, they'd think, I'll never get this done. But they take care of that space that's making them crazy, they'll feel a lot more progress, right?
Right, exactly.
So I've heard you talk about a few simple steps that can be used to organize just about anything. Could you share those and how they might apply to like cleaning out a closet or an overstuffed pantry?
Definitely. And you can use these same steps with anything as you're, moving through the house, whether it's the kitchen or the bathroom or a closet. Paperwork. Definitely. So what you want to do is sort items. Look at the items and decide, is this something that I want to keep? that I want to toss, that I want to donate, that needs to be shredded. And a lot of times I also find miscellaneous items that belong elsewhere. So, sort them out in those different categories. The next thing you want to do is group like items together. If you have, a whole bunch of kitchen utensils, you want to group those together so you can see exactly how much you have before determining where you're going to house them or what the perfect home for them is. And when you're looking for the perfect home or where to store them, think, you don't have to think the traditional way. All of my kitchen utensils, my spoons, my spatulas must go in a drawer. There are some clients that like having one of those crockery pots sitting on the counter because they want to have easy access to their utensils. So it doesn't have to be the traditional way of storing or organizing things. So just keep that in mind as you're going through, through your closets and your kitchens. And once you decide what home you're going to have for them, figure out what tools you need. Do you need bins for, for certain things? Do you need dividers? Do you need items that keep your sweaters from tumbling over? So first find the home and then get the necessary organizing tools.
Yeah, I like that. I'm sorry that my dog, I don't think, was vocal at all yesterday, and today is going crazy. So it's always embarrassing when that happens.
He might have liked the last one, finding the right tools.
Yeah, like a muzzle, you mean?
No.
You know how there's a saying that there's someone for everyone? Well, I got to thinking about that saying with there's some kind of kitchen gadget or tool for everything, right? Because Jennifer reminded me we had the salad shooter.
Yep.
We've got the rice cooker. We've got toasters. That's a basic one. Spiralizers. There have been all kinds of kitchen Instapots are big, right? And now the air fryer. So can you share a little bit about like how people can decide if they really do have that valuable real estate, and tips for evaluating and deciding what they really need?
Well, first of all, you've got to ask yourself, when was the last time I used the salad shooter? I mean, if you're using it constantly, like every day or every week, then it probably merits being kept at home. If it's once every couple of months or every time you pull out that contraption out of the pantry or wherever it's stored, there's just too many pieces and it just frustrates you. Anything that's frustrating essentially needs to go out of the house or needs to be donated or given away. So that's the first thing. Like, when was the last time I used it? And that'll determine pretty easily, like, do I need to keep it or not? Do I love it? That's another thing to ask. I mean, do I love using whatever this is? Or if it's more effort than if it's a pasta maker, and it just takes so long to, do whatever you need to do. It's just easier to go buy the pasta at the store. Just look at your time that it takes to use these items.
Mm-hmm.
If you do use it though, you need to find a home for them. When I talk about real estate, especially in the kitchen, anything that's within arm's length or within, wherever the eye can see, that's the most valuable real estate in your kitchen. So that's where you keep the things like your plates and your dish, anything that you use every day needs to be in that area. And then the second, go ahead, Ann.
Did you say within arm's reach? Is that how you decide?
Yeah, within arm's reach, that's like the main type of real estate, like the most valuable real estate, because that's where you're grabbing things and you don't have to bend or anything like that. The second part would be anything where you have to kind of bend or get in your tiptoes. Maybe that's the stuff that you don't use every day, but yeah, you use it maybe once a week. And then the third part is, that cabinet above the refrigerator where things you can just store stuff in there that you use maybe every few months, or that turkey roaster once a year. So that's a really good way of looking at that valuable real estate as well. So just kind of dividing and segmenting the areas in your kitchen.
Right. Okay. And I think the whole, does it merit the space? And then conversely, people have a funny reaction, don't they, to if there's space that's not filled with something.
They do. I get that a lot, where maybe we've emptied out a kitchen cabinet and there's only one thing in there, there's a lot of empty space around there. It's okay to have empty space, because as our lifestyles change, maybe we are going to need that space in the future for something else. It's okay to have that empty space, because maybe, in a couple of years, there might be a baby coming and you need that space for the baby bottles and the baby items. So empty space is perfectly fine. Just let the house breathe. Just let those spaces breathe for a while. You may never fill them. You may fill them, but the fact that you have that space available, that's a really good thing.
So it's kind of like giving yourself permission, right? Giving yourself permission.
Yeah.
We don't have to fill everything. And maybe
No.
it even feels nice to have those open spaces.
It is. It really, really is.
What about, I like your strategy, Diana, and if you could share it with people, you bring one in, I always want to say it like something evil's happening. I was going to say take one out. I mean, you take them out. What is it again? It's one.
It's the one in, one out.
One in, one out.
So essentially, and this works in the closet quite a bit, where if you go out and buy a pair of shoes, then you let go of a pair of shoes and that replaces that space. Okay. So it's the one in, one out rule. If you go out and buy a blouse, you bring it home, hang it up, and then you let go of another blouse or another item. Where you get bonus points is when you do the one in, two out. So when you do that, you're making a little bit extra space in your closet, a little bit extra space in your pantry. So that's like the bonus one, the one in, two out.
I dream of being a two out person.
That's a good one to strive for.
Throw out person.
Yes.
Flip the script. 0 in, 2 out, or at least 1 in, 2 out. All right, that's a really good one to keep in mind, and it can be just kind of that little thing you tuck away.
Yes.
Another space strategy that you mentioned that I really, really like, and I see people doing this with like coffee bars, is zones in the kitchen. Would you talk about zones in the kitchen a little?
I love zones in the kitchen. So I've started as I've worked with clients throughout the years. Especially when it comes to things like the beverages, like their coffee, I would see them, go here, this pantry or this cabinet for the mug. They'd go to this cabinet for the sugar. They'd go to that cabinet for the coffee grounds. And then their coffee makers in this, another location. So I started creating zones like coffee and tea zones where everything's together. And again, that's kind of thinking non-traditional, like we were, we were raised to have things in separate areas. I just kind of want you to bust that myth and just make it work for you. So the coffee's there, the mugs are there, the sugar's there, everything's together. This also works really well with children. Let's suppose that there's some snacks that it's okay for them to have, those healthy snacks that they can have, whenever they'd like to. But then there's other snacks that they're not allowed to get to unless mom or dad approve, after dinner or something. So then you create a snack zone for the children, for them to be able to reach that. That way they don't come to mom or dad or, grandma to get that snack for them. They can actually help themselves and learn that skill of, okay, it's okay for me to have these snacks. I know exactly where it is and I can go there and get snacks for myself. So zoning especially in the kitchen works really, really well.
And it makes, I imagine with kids, it makes them a little self-sufficient too, right? I mean, it's nice to not have to bug mom. Mom's always the one who gets bugged.
Right.
If you want, some popcorn or whatever it is, that you could totally get yourself. So I think there's added value there, right?
Right. And it gives them that sense of responsibility and that, okay, I mean, this is my drawer, also a sense of ownership, right? This is my snack drawer. This is where it's okay for me to go get things. So they start learning those skills.
This leads really well into your grab and go concept.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of your strategies for organization is called grab and go, which we can talk about it with the kids or the dogs, or I don't know, this time of year, people are probably needing to, unfortunately, grab and go highlighters and pieces of mail and stuff for taxes or whatever it is. So
definitely. And these are some pretty good photos that are up here right now. So the basic concept is to be able to have things available, readily available. So if, you have a puppy, you have a dog, you basically want to have all the puppy and dog things together, and not have to run to the bedroom to get the leash, run over here to get the little poop bags, run over there to get the towel for, you know, in case they dirty their feet and you need to wipe them. You want to have areas, again, it kind of goes back to the zoning. So where you have an area where you grab the leash, you grab the poop bags, you grab everything together. That may mean that you have a basket by the door, or you have a hook by the door for the leash. A lot of folks have the coat closets, and these over the door shoe hangers work really well in a lot of areas in the home, but especially in the coat closet, because you can use this for scarves, you can use it for winter hats, you can use it for so many different things, not just shoes. These are called shoe over the door shoe hangers, but you can use it for so many different things. And I like these in the coat closet because it really supports that concept of grab and go. Whatever you need, you know, you can easily have it available.
Yeah, I know my dog sometimes looks at me like I'm crazy, and as if nobody could tell I had a dog from earlier. He's making his presence known. But, you know, I grab something and then I'm like, oh, where are the poop bags? And then I'm like, oh, it's still dark out in the morning. I need a flashlight, you know, and like you said,
Right.
you're going back and forth and he's crossing his little furry legs. It's like, Mom, can we go, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And that saves so much time, and that whole grab and go concept. But it's also training ourselves to say, okay, this is where I'm always going to have these things. But training the family, training the folks in your house as well, so they can learn where these things are stored. This is their home. This is where they're stored.
yeah, no, I like that. I today I prepared a bunch of questions to ask you, and as usual, there's so many good tips. I don't want us to run out of time, but I want you to talk to another concept that you taught me, that you have for, let's say somebody's cleaning up a desk area in a kitchen or a pantry where they've stuck up a bunch of kids' artwork, or concert tickets or sport event tickets. You know, they've got that sort of pantry, desk, kitchen area that can get very cluttered. You have a brilliant idea for how to get those mementos people want to keep together and get your space sort of organized and visually pleasing again.
Yes, this is probably one of the things that I set up in almost all the households, with almost all the clients that I've worked with. And these are called memory boxes. And the boxes can look like, you know, different things. They can be, you know, beautiful plastic boxes. They can be boxes like this one here. These are from the Container Store. But essentially, this is a memory box is created for every member of the house. So each individual that lives in the house, but also pets. I've had memory boxes for pets as well. They all get a memory box. And basically things like you just mentioned, the concert tickets, the birthday cards, things that mean something, that have some emotional attachment, they just get, literally, they just get tossed in there. There's no like, should I, shouldn't I? I mean, these are mementos. These are things that you do want to keep. And now there is a home for them. They're not scattered all over the house.
Mm-hmm.
So you start learning that, oh, it's a memory that goes in the memory box. You don't have to think about it anymore. There's a dedicated space for them. And kids have them as well. For kids, I like to do two different types of memory boxes. I like to do the paperwork, artwork type memory box, but also the clothing. I have a lot of clients that like to keep, you know, the cute little blanket, that the receiving blanket, or their first little outfit. So yeah, we definitely keep those, but we keep them in a separate box.
That's nice too. And then you always know where that stuff is, that sentimental stuff that you kind of freeze up when you feel like you lost it, you know,
Right.
that last, you know, great birthday card your mom sent you or whatever it was, you know. So I think that's a great tip. You know, another one that I want to hit on this too before we have to call it quits is there's something very freeing, visually and energetically, which I want you to speak to. I see with my clients who may live in a fine home, and we'll go look at homes and we'll open, let's say, a laundry closet and or a linen closet, and there are, you know, totes of certain sizes with those little labels and colors, and I see the person looking have an emotional, visceral reaction to that, like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I love this house, it's so well organized. And I always wonder, it is a great house, but as part of what you love, that they got this prep to sell, and it feels like the absence of chaos and clutter. which sometimes it just life is that way. And so it's almost like the seller is selling this peaceful feeling. But I don't know that anybody puts their finger on it and thinks of it that way. It's just this feeling that happens when you get rid of stuff and you cut the cord. Or if you could also speak, and throwing a lot at you here, to, you know, the parents who are empty nesters who want to sell and move into their Tampa condo, but they've got their 5 kids belongings from 30 years, you know. So if you could talk a little bit about sort of what happens when you're able to get organized, and strategies you've worked with for folks who maybe they're the empty nesters who are trying to kind of get their adult children to get themselves together.
Yeah. And you're right. And it is that peaceful, serene feeling when you see something that's organized and it's not in disarray. And there's just this an emotional feeling that we have. And I, you know, I see that all the time as far as the you know, you mentioned the parents that maybe they lived in their household for 50 years and they still have their kids' childhood items that they didn't take with them when they moved out of the house. Now their kids have children of their own, and they don't really understand that, you know, these things at mom and dad's house, they need to go. Like, they need to go. They don't see that, you know, that it's causing them, the parents, some angst as well, because they don't feel like they can let go of these things. It doesn't belong to them. I even had one instance where we started packing up the things because the kids just weren't, you know, coming over to look at stuff, and we packed up some stuff and we started sending them to the children. So, I mean, that's one way of handling it. The other, having a Zoom call and saying, look, I need for us to get on this call because I need to show you your childhood room. We're moving out of here. We're going to Tampa. Do you want these things? If not, they're just going to be donated. So setting that time limit as well, like, we've got to have this decided by such and such date. I'm happy to mail it to you, send it to you, but if you can get on a call with them, that's even better. So you've got, you know, and also a lot of, you know, different generations where you the sandwich generation, where you've got your parents' things, you know, maybe the parents have passed away, so you inherit a lot of those things. And you've got your children's things, so you're sandwiched in the middle trying to figure out, what do I do with all of this? And essentially you just start, set aside the time, start with one box. And it didn't get like this overnight. So just know that it's going to take time to untangle it. That's just the way it's going to be. Just, you know, one day at a time, one session at a time, one, you know, organizing, you setting aside the time, and just sitting down and doing it.
I think that feeling, like when you are on vacation, or even you're at a conference, it's not vacation, you walk in a hotel room, it feels peaceful because you're not surrounded by all your stuff, you know?
Right.
So,
Definitely. And the other thing to just think about is, if you live with the clutter, you don't see it anymore. You don't see it, you start living with it. So it starts becoming, you know, the norm to have that stack of paperwork always sitting there. So you stop seeing it. So you want to take those blinders off and walk through your house and really take a look at things as if a neighbor that doesn't come to your house, or somebody else were to walk in. So start looking at things a little bit differently when you're going through your house.
I don't know. I know we need to wrap up, which I will. I don't know. Jennifer is our Wizard of Oz behind the scenes. Did we have any questions, Jennifer? Or should I can wrap up and point people to Diana's contact info too.
That'd be great. We don't have any questions from Facebook, but somebody did ask, you know, what should we, you know, how do we determine where we give this stuff away, you know? Like,
yeah, that's been hard during a pandemic too, right?
Yeah.
It has been. I mean, a couple of donation places have completely shut down. They've started opening up again. Always check or always call, because sometimes they have limited time, you know, time frames. The other thing is, you know, we all have friends and family and neighbors that might be able to use that bread maker or that pasta maker or that clothing. So think about your immediate circle of folks. There's some great donation places as well. I know church organizations, I think they've started opening up again and accepting things for donations. So yeah, I mean, you could find a whole bunch of places online as well.
I've used Free Cycle, too.
Yes.
And that's a nice way if you don't have that immediate group you mentioned that,
Mhm.
somebody nearby, or, probably, I guess you could do something for free on Facebook Marketplace, but I have a lot of clients who've gotten secondhand furniture. You would never guess a secondhand on the marketplace there, Facebook Marketplace. So this is Diana's contact information. And I would encourage you to reach out to her. You can also give her as a gift, because as she pointed out to me, it's not always great for your relationship to try to do it with your own kids or your parents or your best friend. It might be better to bring in an impartial third party who, Diana has no judgment. She's seen it all. She's just going to help them. So whether it's you want the help, or, somebody who needs help, or you want to give her as a gift certificate, they could do that, right, Diana?
Yep, they sure can. I just had somebody recently gift me to her husband for his office at home, his home office.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
perfect. I think that helped them both, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
So Diana, here's her contact information. She is wonderful, and I would encourage you to reach out to her. If you saw this and you can't find the information, feel free to reach out to me or Jennifer. We will always pass it along. We will have today's video available on our Facebook page, on our website, and it will be on YouTube. And we also give it to Diana, so she will have it available if you want to watch through it again, or send it to somebody. We love it when you share. So thank you for doing that in advance. And thank you for joining us today. It's always fun to expose whomever's watching now or later. We get a lot of folks who watch later to a really good local business who will do a great job for you or whomever you refer, and to get good information out there in the process. So Diana has an online newsletter you can sign up for. She does these like Tuesday tips, right, Diana? It's like
Mhm.
it's like a little bite-sized organizational tip every Tuesday. So if you'd like to sign up for that, go to her website, and you'll start getting a little more organized every Tuesday, and get some really good information you can store away. We hope that you have gotten a lot of good information today. If you need an expert in real estate to talk to someone that you know, or you have questions about your own market or a market that you're interested in, please reach out. And I also have colleagues I network with all over the country, some outside the country. So I'm happy to make connections. And we will catch you again in 2 weeks for our next Ask the Expert. I want to thank Diana for being here today, and I want to thank Jennifer, as I've referred to as our Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. So thank you both for all your effort today. It was really fun.
Thank you, Anne.
We'll see you next time on Ask the Expert.